I woke up at 6 in the morning to an empty house. That wasn't unusual. Nika was often up before me, making coffee or preparing breakfast. What was unusual was the silence. No sounds from the kitchen. No smell of coffee brewing. No soft Thai music playing from her phone like there usually was. I called her name. No response. I walked to the bedroom closet and opened it. Her side was completely empty. Every dress, every blouse, every pair of shoes gone. The jewelry box on her dresser gone. Her passport, her documents, her laptop, all gone. My heart started pounding as I grabbed my phone and called her. Straight to voicemail. I checked line, my messages showed as sent, but not delivered. I checked Facebook, her profile had vanished entirely, along with every wedding photo she'd ever posted. I ran outside. Her car was still in the driveway, which confused me until I checked the security camera footage. At 4:12 in the morning, a pickup truck had pulled up to our house. A man I didn't recognize helped Nika load suitcases into the back. She climbed into the passenger seat without looking back, and they drove away into the darkness. My wife of 14 months had left me in the middle of the night without a word. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part came 2 hours later, when I drove to the bank to check our joint savings account, the account where I'd deposited 5 million baht for our future home. The account was empty. Every single baht. Gone. And when I demanded to know how my wife could withdraw everything without my authorization, the bank manager looked at me with something like pity and said the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. Sir, this is not a joint account. This is her account. You are listed as secondary signer only. You have no withdrawal rights. She is the primary owner. She can do whatever she wants with the money. I stood there in that air-conditioned bank lobby, surrounded by customers going about their normal days, and felt my entire world collapse. 5 million baht. $135,000. My retirement. My security. My future. Gone. But here's what Nika didn't know about me. I'm not the kind of man who folds when things get hard. I spent 30 years in the Texas oil fields, solving problems that would break most people. I've dealt with equipment failures, personnel disasters, and corporate politics that would make your head spin. She thought she'd found an easy mark, a lonely American with more money than sense. She was about to learn how wrong she was. If you've been enjoying the stories I create, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. My name is Brandon Cole. I'm 54 years old, born and raised in Midland, Texas, the heart of the Permian Basin, where oil runs through the groundwater and roughnecks are as common as tumbleweeds. I started working the rigs when I was 19, fresh out of high school with no college prospects and no idea what to do with my life. The oil field took me in and made me into something. I started at the bottom roustabout work, cleaning equipment, hauling pipe, and worked my way up over 3 decades until I was supervising entire drilling operations. It was hard labor in brutal conditions, 100-degree summers, freezing winters, 12-hour shifts that stretched into 16 when things went wrong. I've seen men lose fingers, lose limbs, lose their lives on those rigs. But I loved it. There was something honest about the work. You showed up, you did your job, you went home. No politics, no pretense. Just metal and mud and the satisfaction of pulling something valuable out of the earth. The money was good too. By the time I was 40, I was earning well into 6 figures. I bought a house in Odessa, invested in a couple of rental properties, and built up a solid nest egg. I wasn't rich by Texas oil standards. The real money went to the executives and the landowners, but I was comfortable. My personal life was less successful. I married my first wife, Cheryl, when I was 25. She was a waitress at a diner near the rig, pretty and sharp-tongued and full of dreams about getting out of West Texas. I thought I could make her happy. I was wrong. The oil field life is hell on marriages. I'd be gone for weeks at a time, living in man camps or cheap motels near whatever site I was working. Cheryl got tired of being alone, tired of raising our son while I was off making money. We never seemed to have time to spend together. She filed for divorce when I was 32, took the house and half my savings, and moved to Houston with our boy. I saw my son maybe twice a year after that. He grew up without me, just like I'd grown up without my own father. And the irony wasn't lost on me. By the time he was an adult, we were strangers. He lives in California now, works in tech, and we exchange Christmas cards. That's about it. After Cheryl, I didn't date much. A few relationships, here and there, nothing serious. The work consumed me. When I wasn't on a rig, I was recovering from being on a rig. The loneliness became familiar. Like an old coat I'd worn so long, I forgot it wasn't supposed to feel that way. I married again at 48. Her name was Linda, a divorced school teacher I met through a friend. She was stable, practical, everything Cheryl hadn't been. I thought that meant we'd work. We lasted 3 years. Linda wanted a partner who was present, who'd go to dinner parties and church functions and spend weekends doing normal couple things. I wanted someone who'd be there when I got home from a 6-week rotation and wouldn't complain about the silences that came from being alone with your thoughts for too long. We divorced amicably. No kids, no drama, just 2 people admitting they'd made a mistake. I walked away with my savings intact and a clearer understanding of what I was. A man built for work, not relationships. At 52, I took early retirement. The company offered a buyout package for senior supervisors. The industry was changing. Automation was coming, and they wanted to clear out the older guys who remembered how things used to be done. I took the money and found myself with more cash than I'd ever had, and absolutely no idea what to do with it. About $210,000 in various accounts, plus the value of my properties. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life, if I was smart about it. I started thinking about leaving Texas. There was nothing keeping me there. My son was in California. My ex-wives had moved on. My friends from the oil field were either still working or had scattered to the winds. I'd spent 3 decades in the same 100-mile radius, and I wanted to see something different before I died. A buddy of mine had retired to Thailand a few years earlier. He'd send me photos of beaches and temples and plates of food that cost less than a cup of coffee back home. He kept telling me to visit, said it would change my life. I finally took him up on it. Booked a flight to Phuket for 2 weeks, just to see what the fuss was about. Those 2 weeks turned into a month, then 2 months. Then I started looking at condos for sale. Thailand was everything. Texas wasn't tropical, colorful, chaotic, alive. The cost of living was laughably low compared to what I was used to. A nice apartment ran maybe 30,000 baht a month. Restaurant meals cost a few dollars. I could live like a king on my savings and pension. More importantly, the people were friendly. Not just service industry friendly, but genuinely warm. Strangers would smile at me on the street. Shopkeepers would chat with me even when I wasn't buying anything. After decades of Texas stoicism and oil field roughness, the openness was disorienting, but in a good way. I decided to split my time between Texas and Thailand, keep my properties back home, rent a place in Phuket, spend 6 months in each location, the best of both worlds. That was the plan, anyway. Then I met Nika, and everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Phuket, about 3 months into my first extended stay. I developed some kind of skin rash, probably from the humidity or something I'd eaten, and I needed medication. My buddy recommended a pharmacy near Patong that had English-speaking staff. The pharmacy was busy when I arrived. A mix of tourists and locals crowded the narrow aisles, and the staff behind the counter were juggling multiple customers at once. I waited my turn, trying to figure out which products on the shelves might help my condition. A young Thai woman appeared beside me. She was looking at the same shelf, reaching for a bottle of something I couldn't read. "Excuse me," I said, stepping aside to give her room. She smiled, a small, polite smile that didn't seem practiced. "Thank you." Her English was clear, barely accented. She was dressed conservatively, a modest blouse, long skirt, minimal makeup. Not like the women I'd seen in the tourist bars, with their heavy eye makeup and revealing outfits. She looked like she could be an office worker or a student. "Do you speak English well?" I asked, gesturing at the shelves. "I'm trying to find something for this rash, but I can't read any of the labels." She looked at my arm, where the rash was visible below my short sleeve, and nodded. "I can help." "What kind of rash? Itchy? Burning?" "Mostly itchy. Started a few days ago." She examined the shelf and selected a small tube. "This one good for heat rash. Common for foreigners in Thailand. The humidity, heat rash. That makes sense." I took the tube and looked at it. "How do you know so much about medicine?" She shrugged modestly. "I work at resort. Sometimes guests need help with pharmacy." I learn. We chatted for a few more minutes while I gathered the rest of what I needed. Her name was Kanika, but she said most people called her Nika. She was 26, from a province in the northeast called Udon Thani. And she worked as an accountant at a resort near Kata Beach. Accountant? I was impressed. That's a serious job. I study hard, she said simply. Not want to work bar like some girls. Want proper career. There was no judgment in her voice when she mentioned the bars, just a quiet statement of her own choices. I found it refreshing. When we reached the checkout counter, I insisted on paying for her items along with mine. It was only a few hundred baht, but she protested. No, I can pay myself. I know you can. But you helped me. It's the least I can do. She hesitated, then accepted gracefully. Thank you. You are very kind. Outside the pharmacy, we stood awkwardly for a moment. I didn't want the conversation to end, but I also didn't want to be the creepy old foreigner hitting on a young Thai woman. Well, I said, thanks again for your help. I appreciate it. You are welcome. She paused. If you need more help with Thai things, you can contact me. She pulled out her phone. You have Line? I did. My buddy had made me download it, saying it was essential for communication in Thailand. We exchanged contacts, and she smiled that small, genuine smile again. Maybe I see you again, she said. Maybe so. I walked away thinking it was just a pleasant encounter, a friendly local who'd helped a confused tourist. Nothing more. But she messaged me that evening. Just a simple, hello, hope your rash is better, with a smiley face. I responded, and we started talking. Over the following days, our conversations grew longer and more frequent. She asked about Texas, about the oil field, about my life. I asked about her family, her job, her dreams. She wanted to save enough money to buy her parents a proper house in Udon Thani, she said. The home they had now was old and falling apart. Everything about her seemed genuine. She never asked for money. She never suggested expensive restaurants or shopping trips. When we met for coffee, she insisted on paying her share. When I offered to take her to dinner, she chose a modest local place rather than a tourist establishment. I don't like expensive place, she explained. Food is same, just more money. Why waste? Her practicality charmed me. After 2 ex-wives who'd had expensive tastes and complained when I couldn't provide lavish lifestyles, Nika's simplicity was a revelation. We started seeing each other regularly. Dinners, walks on the beach, visits to temples she wanted to show me. She introduced me to her friends, other young Thai women who worked respectable jobs and seemed equally grounded. They giggled and whispered to each other in Thai, but Nika would translate, assuring me they were just saying I seemed nice. 2 months into whatever we were doing, I realized I was falling for her. I told myself all the reasons it was a bad idea. The age difference, 28 years. The cultural gap. The stories I'd heard from other expats about Thai women who targeted lonely foreigners for their money. But Nika didn't fit those stories. She had a career. She paid her own way. She never talked about money except to express her modest goals. She seemed to like me for who I was, not what I had. And God, I was lonely. Decades of loneliness, temporarily numbed by work, now impossible to ignore in retirement. Here was someone who wanted to spend time with me, who listened when I talked, who made me feel like I mattered. When I returned to Texas after 4 months, we talked every day on video calls. She'd show me her office, her apartment, her morning coffee. I'd show her the flat Texas landscape, my rental properties, my attempts at cooking Thai food. I miss you, she'd say, and I'd believe her. I went back to Thailand 2 months later, and it was like coming home. Nika was waiting at the airport with a sign that said, "Welcome back, my Brandon." She'd taken time off work to spend my first week with me, showing me parts of Phuket I hadn't seen, cooking meals at my condo, staying over every night. 4 months after that, I asked her to marry me. I know what you're thinking. 9 months is too fast. I barely knew her. I was thinking with my heart instead of my head. You're right, about all of it. But when you've spent your whole life making rational decisions and ended up alone anyway, rationality starts to lose its appeal. I'd been careful with Cheryl, and that had ended in divorce. I'd been cautious with Linda, and that had ended the same way. Maybe what I needed was to take a leap of faith for once. Nika said yes immediately, tears streaming down her face. I never think this happened to me, she said. Foreign man really want marry me. Not just play, but real marry. We had a traditional Thai wedding in Udon Thani, her home province. I flew her whole family down, her parents, her grandmother, aunts and uncles, and cousins I couldn't keep track of. The ceremony was elaborate and confusing. with monks chanting and water being poured over our hands and a dowry I paid to her parents as was customary. The dowry was 200,000 baht, about $6,000. Nika had said it could be less, that her family wasn't greedy. But I insisted on a respectable amount. I wanted them to know I was serious about their daughter. Her parents seemed like good people. Her father was a retired farmer, weathered and quiet. Her mother was warm and constantly trying to feed me. They didn't speak much English, but they smiled at me and seemed genuinely pleased that their daughter had found a good match. After the Thai ceremony, we went to the AMFER, the district office, and registered the marriage legally. Nika handled the paperwork, explaining that it was all standard stuff. I signed where she pointed, trusting her to navigate the bureaucracy. We honeymooned in Krabi, staying at a beautiful resort overlooking the Andaman Sea. Nika was attentive and loving, planning every detail of our days together, making sure I was comfortable and happy. "I want to be good wife," she said one evening as we watched the sunset. "I know I'm lucky. Many Thai girls don't get chance like this. I won't waste it." I believed her. I had no reason not to. When we returned to Phuket, we moved into a larger condo together, a 2-bedroom place in a nice complex near Kata Beach. I paid the rent and utilities, which seemed natural since I had more money. Nika continued working at the resort, which I took as a good sign. A gold digger wouldn't bother with a job, I reasoned. The first few months of marriage were genuinely good. Nika cooked, cleaned, managed the household with quiet efficiency. She was affectionate without being clingy, supportive without being suffocating. She asked about my day, remembered details I'd mentioned weeks earlier, made me feel seen in ways I hadn't experienced before. If there were red flags, I didn't see them, or didn't want to see them. About 4 months into our marriage, Nika brought up the idea of saving for a house. "Renting is waste of money," she said practically. "Every month, money disappear. But if we buy a house, we have something. Asset, security." I agreed with the logic. I'd always believed in owning property. It was how I'd built my modest wealth back in Texas. And the idea of putting down roots in Thailand, of having a permanent home with my wife, appealed to me. "I've been looking at properties," she continued. "Nice house, not too expensive. Maybe 5 million, 6 million baht. We could save together, buy in 1 year, 2 years. "That's not unreasonable," I said. "I've got savings that could cover most of that. I don't want you pay everything. Not fair. I want to contribute too." She looked at me earnestly. "Maybe we open savings account together? Put money in every month? Like partners. A joint savings account." It made sense. We were married, after all. Married couples shared finances. And Nika was right. She should contribute too. It would make the house truly ours, not just something I'd bought for her. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." Nika handled the setup, which also made sense. She was the one who spoke Thai, who understood the local banking system, who could navigate the paperwork. I came to the bank with her, signed where she indicated, and provided my passport and other documents. The account was opened at a Bangkok bank branch in Phuket. Nika explained that she'd be listed first on the account because she had Thai ID, which the bank preferred, but that we'd both have full access. I nodded along, not really understanding the details, but trusting her to handle them. I made the first transfer that week, 1 million baht from my Thai account. Nika matched it with what she said was 50,000 baht from her own savings. The imbalance didn't bother me. I had more money. It was natural that I'd contribute more. Over the following months, I continued adding to the account. Another 1 million baht here, 500,000 there. Nika would show me the balance periodically, pointing to the growing number with satisfaction. "Almost 3 million now," she'd say. "Soon we can start looking at houses." I was happy to see the account grow. It represented our future together, tangible proof that we were building something real. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known without understanding Thai banking law, was that I had no legal right to that money. The account wasn't joint in any meaningful sense. It was Nika's account, opened in her name, with me listed as a secondary signer. In Thai banking terms, that meant I could deposit money but not withdraw it. Only the primary account holder, Nika, had withdrawal authority. Her cousin worked at the bank. I found that out later. He'd helped her set up the account in a way that looked legitimate to me but gave her complete control. He probably got a cut of whatever she took. I deposited a total of 5 million baht into that account over 4 months. Nearly all of my Thai savings. My retirement security, my future. And I had no legal claim to any of it. Looking back, there were warning signs. There always are. But I was too invested in the fantasy to see them clearly. Nika's job at the resort. She claimed to work as an accountant, but she never talked about colleagues, never invited me to work events, never complained about difficult projects or demanding bosses the way people with real jobs do. When I suggested picking her up from work once, she seemed flustered and said it wasn't allowed something about resort policy regarding personal visitors. Her family. During our wedding, they'd seemed warm and welcoming, but afterward, they were strangely distant. Nika said they were just traditional, that they felt awkward around foreigners. But she also seemed reluctant to visit them, always finding excuses when I suggested we go to Udon Thani. Her phone. She was protective of it in ways that seemed excessive. She'd angle the screen away from me when texting, take calls in another room, always keep it face down on tables. When I asked about it, she said she just valued her privacy. I told myself I was being paranoid, that trust was essential in marriage. Her friends. The women she'd introduced me to early in our relationship gradually disappeared. When I asked about them, Nika said they'd moved away or gotten busy with their own lives. She didn't seem interested in making new friends, and our social life became increasingly isolated. Money conversations. Despite the joint account, Nika remained vague about her own finances. She said she had some savings, but never specified how much. She claimed her salary was modest, but never showed me a pay stub. When I suggested combining all our finances completely, she said it was better to keep some things separate for security, she said. The 5 million baht. Looking back, the pace of my contributions was alarming. I deposited more in 4 months than I'd originally planned to put in over 2 years. Nika had subtle ways of encouraging larger transfers, mentioning how houses were getting more expensive, how interest rates might rise, how we should move quickly before we missed our chance. I ignored all of it, or rationalized it away, because I wanted so badly for this to be real. The morning Nika disappeared, I'd gone to bed thinking everything was fine. We'd had a normal evening dinner, television, casual conversation. She'd kissed me goodnight and said she loved me. Same as always. She must have waited until I was deeply asleep before she started packing. The security footage showed her moving quickly and efficiently, making multiple trips to the pickup truck, loading bags I'd never seen before. The man helping her looked comfortable, familiar, not a hired stranger, but someone who knew her. She'd planned this for months, probably, maybe from the beginning. Every smile, every meal, every night in our bed, all of it calculated, performed, waiting for the moment when she'd accumulated enough to make her exit. 5 million baht. That was her number. That was what I was worth to her. I drove to the bank that morning in a state of disbelief. Part of me still hoped there was an explanation. Maybe Nika had a family emergency. Maybe she'd needed to leave suddenly and would contact me soon. Maybe this was all a terrible misunderstanding. The bank manager's words destroyed that hope completely. Sir, this account is registered to Miss Kanika Ratnaporn as primary holder. You are listed as secondary signer only. But it's a joint account. We opened it together, for our house. The manager shook his head sympathetically. In Thai banking system, joint account can mean different things. Your signature allows you to deposit funds. It does not allow you to withdraw. Only the primary holder can withdraw. That can't be right. I've been putting my money in there for months. My wife, your wife, is the account owner. The funds in this account belong to her. Legally, there is nothing we can do. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. She took everything. 5 million baht. That's my money. My savings. I understand this is difficult, sir. But the account was set up correctly according to Thai law. If you have a dispute with your wife, that is a civil matter. The bank cannot intervene. I sat in that manager's office for nearly an hour, arguing, pleading, demanding to see documentation. They showed me the account setup forms. My signature was there, next to terms I hadn't understood, in a language I couldn't read. Nika had played me perfectly. She'd used my trust, my love, my ignorance of Thai banking law to steal everything I'd given her. I walked out of that bank a different man than I'd walked in. The naive optimist who believed in second chances was gone. In his place was something harder, colder, something that remembered how to solve problems. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. Most scam victims in Thailand never recover their money. The police are overworked. The legal system is slow. and many foreigners are too embarrassed to pursue justice. They cut their losses and go home, chalking it up to expensive lessons learned. I wasn't most victims. I started making calls. My buddy who'd introduced me to Thailand had connections expats who'd lived here for decades, who knew how things really worked. One of them gave me a name, Prasert Viroj. Prasert was a private investigator, 51 years old, former Thai military intelligence. He specialized in cases involving missing spouses and financial fraud. He had a reputation for being expensive but effective. I met him at a coffee shop in Patong 2 days after Nika disappeared. He was a small man with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor that reminded me of the best supervisors I'd worked with in the oil field. Quiet, competent, dangerous when necessary. "Tell me everything," he said after we'd ordered. "From the beginning," I told him. "The pharmacy meeting, the courtship, the wedding, the joint account, the disappearance." I showed him photos of Nika, screenshots of our conversations, the bank documents I'd managed to obtain. He listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a small pad. "How much did she take?" he asked when I finished. 5 million baht. He nodded, unsurprised. "This amount is significant. It tells me she is professional. Amateur scammer takes smaller amount, runs sooner. Professional waits, builds trust, takes maximum. Can you find her?" "I can find anyone in Thailand," he said without arrogance. "Question is what you do when I find her. I want my money back, and I want her punished." Prasert studied me for a moment. "This will require patience. Thai justice is slow, and your wife, she has done this before, I think. She knows how to hide." "How do you know she's done it before?" "The way she operated, the joint account trick, the cousin at bank, the timing of departure. This is not improvised. This is system, practiced system." He quoted me his fee substantial, but not unreasonable given what I'd lost. I agreed immediately. Money wasn't going to do me any good if I couldn't get justice. Prasert went to work. Within 3 days, he'd traced Nika's phone to a location in Bangkok. The pickup truck that had collected her was registered to a man named Somchai, one of her cousins, it turned out. Prasert had already identified 2 other cousins involved in what he called her operation. "Family business," he said during one of our update calls. "She is not alone. She has support network. Cousin at bank, cousin with truck, maybe others. They split the money, move it around, make it hard to trace." "Can you still find where the money went?" "Working on it. Bank records show she transferred most of funds within hours of withdrawal. Multiple accounts, different banks. But she made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes." On day 6, Prasert delivered his full report. Nika's real name was Kanika Ratnapur, that much was true. But almost everything else she'd told me was lies. She wasn't an accountant. She'd never worked at any resort. The friends she'd introduced me to early in our relationship were fellow scammers, part of a network that targeted wealthy foreign men. Most damning, I wasn't her first victim. Prasert had found records of 2 previous marriages to foreign men. A German named Klaus who'd divorced her after 18 months and returned to Europe. She'd taken approximately 2 million baht from him. A British man named Jeffrey who died of a heart attack 8 months into their marriage. She'd inherited his Thai assets and disappeared shortly after. "She is careful," Prasert said. "Changes location after each marriage. Waits long time before finding new target. Very patient." "Where is she now?" "Bangkok. She has condo in Nonthaburi area. She bought it last year probably with money from British men. She thinks she is safe there, far from Phuket, far from you." "What about the money?" "My 5 million? Most of it moved through cousins' accounts. But she kept some in her own name. About 2 million baht still traceable. The rest." He shrugged. "May be difficult to recover. 2 million out of 5. Less than half. But it was something." "What do I do now?" I asked. "Go to the police?" Prasert shook his head. "Regular police will not help. This is financial crime. Complicated. Requires resources they don't have. You need DSI. DSI, Department of Special Investigation, like your FBI. They handle serious fraud, organized crime. Your case," he tapped his report. "This is exactly what they investigate." He gave me a contact at the DSI, a detective named Lieutenant Colonel Aparak who handled cases involving foreign victims. Prasert offered to make an introduction, smooth the way. "They will be interested," he assured me. "Marriage scam is big problem in Thailand. Bad for tourism, bad for reputation. DSI wants to stop it." I was about to become part of a much larger operation. The Department of Special Investigation occupied a government complex in Bangkok that looked like any other bureaucratic building: gray concrete, security checkpoints, fluorescent lights. But the people inside were anything but ordinary. Lieutenant Colonel Aparak was a serious man in his late 40s, with a military bearing and eyes that seemed to catalog everything they saw. He received me in a conference room lined with whiteboards covered in Thai script and photographs. "Mr. Cole," he said, shaking my hand firmly, "Hoon Prasert speaks highly of you. He says you have good documentation. I try to be thorough. That will help." He gestured for me to sit. "Tell me about your wife." I walked him through everything, same as I'd done with Prasert. But this time, I had more to show. Prasert's investigation report, bank records, photos, timeline. Aparak listened carefully, occasionally asking questions, taking notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied me. "Your case matches ongoing investigation," he said. "We have been tracking network of marriage scammers for 2 years. Your wife, Kanika Ratanaporn, her name has appeared before. She is connected to group we call internally Marriage Scam 14B. 14B? 14th case file. Subsection B. Many people involved. Your wife is not leader, but she is significant player. Your evidence," he tapped the folder I'd provided, "helps us understand her methods better. Can you arrest her?" "We can, but we want more than just her. We want the whole network. Cousins, bank contacts, anyone who helps them operate." He paused. "This requires patience, Mr. Cole. We need to build case carefully. If we move too fast, others escape." I understood. In the oil field, I'd learned that rushing a job usually meant doing it twice. Proper preparation saved time in the long run. "What do you need from me?" "Everything you have. And your cooperation if we need you to testify later." "You'll have it." Over the following weeks, I worked closely with the DSI team. I provided every document, every photograph, every piece of evidence I had. I answered questions about Nika's behavior, her habits, the things she'd said. I identified photos of her cousins from surveillance images the DSI had gathered independently. The investigation expanded beyond just my case. The DSI had been tracking money flows through accounts connected to Nika's network, and my 5 million baht was just one of many transactions. They'd identified at least 4 other foreign victims, men from Germany, Australia, Sweden, and Japan, who'd lost similar amounts to the same group. "Your wife is prolific," Aparak observed during one of our meetings. "Very successful at what she does. But success makes people careless. She thinks she is untouchable now. That is her weakness." The DSI began building a comprehensive case. They traced bank transfers, analyzed phone records, collected CCTV footage from banks and ATMs where Nika had withdrawn funds. They identified the condo where she was living in Bangkok and began surveillance. 3 weeks after I'd first walked into the DSI office, Aparak called me with news. "We are ready to move. Arrest warrant issued for Kanika Ratanaporn and 2 associates. We go tomorrow morning. Can I be there? Not for the arrest, but afterward, when we process her. You can observe through glass. Many victims find it helpful." I flew to Bangkok that night and checked into a hotel near the DSI headquarters. I barely slept, running through scenarios in my mind. What if she'd fled? What if the arrest went wrong? What if, even after all this, she managed to escape justice? At 6 in the morning, my phone buzzed with a message from Aparak. "Operation successful. 3 arrests. Your wife in custody." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. I watched through a 2-way mirror as they brought Nika into the processing room. She was wearing casual clothes, jeans, a t-shirt, and her hair was disheveled. Without her careful makeup and practiced composure, she looked smaller somehow, ordinary. An officer explained the charges against her in Thai: fraud, deception through marriage, falsifying bank documents, laundering money. She listened with a blank expression, showing no emotion. Then she said something that made the officer turn toward the mirror toward me, though she couldn't know I was there. Aparak, standing beside me, translated. "She says she wants to know if her husband filed the complaint. She wants to know if you're here." "Tell her yes," I said. The officer relayed my response. Nika's composure finally cracked, her face twisted with something anger maybe or contempt. She spoke rapidly in Thai, her voice rising. The officer responded curtly, and she fell silent. "What did she say?" I asked. Aparak hesitated. She said, "You were stupid. Easy to fool. That you deserved what happened because you were too trusting. I nodded slowly. She wasn't wrong, in a way. I had been trusting, too trusting. But that didn't make what she'd done acceptable. It just made her a predator who'd chosen an easy target. She also said she's done nothing wrong, Aparak added. That the money was a gift from her husband. That this is personal dispute, not crime. What do you think? I think evidence speaks for itself. Bank fraud, coordinated deception, pattern of similar crimes. This is not personal dispute. This is organized crime. Nika was formally charged later that day. Her two cousins, including the one who'd worked at the bank, were charged as well. All three were denied bail due to flight risk. The trial preparation took months. Thai courts moved slowly, and the case was complex. The DSI had to coordinate evidence from multiple victims across multiple countries. I stayed in Thailand through most of it, returning to Texas only briefly to check on my properties. I testified at the trial, walking through my entire relationship with Nika, the meeting, the courtship, the marriage, the account, the theft. The defense tried to paint me as a bitter ex-husband seeking revenge, but the prosecution's evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, phone data, testimony from other victims, the whole coordinated pattern of fraud. The verdict came on a Thursday afternoon, 11 months after Nika had vanished from our condo. Guilty on all counts. Nika stood motionless as the judge read the sentence. 4 years and 8 months in a Thai prison. Her cousins received similar sentences, 4 years each for their roles in the scheme. Thai prisons are not pleasant places. I'd heard stories from expats about the conditions, overcrowded cells, minimal sanitation, brutal heat, without proper ventilation. Whatever Nika had imagined her future to be, spending nearly 5 years in that environment wasn't part of the plan. The court also ordered the seizure and return of recoverable assets. After months of legal wrangling, approximately 2,100,000 baht was returned to me, less than half of what I'd lost, but more than I'd expected given how thoroughly Nika had tried to hide the money. I sat in the courtroom after the verdict was read, watching the officers prepare to take Nika away. She looked smaller than I remembered, diminished somehow. The confident woman who'd seduced me in that pharmacy was gone, replaced by someone facing the consequences of her choices. She looked at me one last time before they let her out. I'm not sure what I expected to see: remorse, maybe, or fear. Instead, there was just blankness. The performance was over, and there was nothing left behind the mask. I nodded at her slightly. Not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. Then she was gone. I've thought a lot about what happened, and what I learned from it. The money I lost, 3 million baht, that was never recovered, hurts. There's no pretending it doesn't. That was years of work, decades of savings, my security for old age. Gone because I wanted to believe a beautiful woman could love me. But here's what I've realized. The money was always going to be spent somehow, maybe on medical bills, or bad investments, or helping family members who didn't appreciate it. At least this way. I got something from the loss, a story, a lesson, proof that I could fight back against someone who'd wronged me. Most victims of marriage scams never see justice. They're too embarrassed to report what happened, too defeated to pursue legal action, too convinced that the system won't help them. I understand that impulse. After Nika disappeared, part of me wanted to crawl into a hole and pretend none of it had ever happened. But I'm a Texan. We don't crawl into holes. We solve problems. Hiring Prasert was the best decision I made after the worst decision I'd made. He gave me something to do with my anger, a productive channel for the rage that might otherwise have consumed me. The DSI gave me something even better, the knowledge that my case was part of something larger, that my evidence helped bring down an entire network of predators. I'm still in Thailand. That might surprise you. You'd think I'd want to leave, go back to Texas, put as much distance as possible between myself and the place where I'd been humiliated. But Thailand didn't scam me. Nika did. And there are millions of Thai people who had nothing to do with what she did to me. The country is still beautiful, still affordable, still welcoming. I'd be a fool to blame an entire nation for the actions of one criminal. I live in Chiang Mai now, in the north. Different from Phuket, cooler weather, quieter pace, more retirees, and fewer tourists. I've made friends here, other expats who've had their own difficult experiences and survived them. We look out for each other, share warnings about common scams, remind each other that trust should be earned, not given. I'm not dating. Don't know if I ever will again. The wound is still too fresh, The memory of Nika's deception too vivid. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who genuinely wants to know me, not my bank account. Maybe not. Either way, I've made peace with the possibility that I'll spend my remaining years alone. There's something I want to say to any man reading this who's considering a relationship in Thailand or anywhere abroad, really. Trust is not something you give. It's something that's proven. If someone seems too good to be true, they probably are. If they move fast, pressure you for commitment, make you feel like you're the only man who's ever understood them, be careful. These are manipulation tactics, refined over years of practice on men just like you. Watch what they do, not what they say. Anyone can make promises. Actions reveal character. If she has a career, verify it. If she has friends, meet them repeatedly. If she has family, spend time with them, real time, not a staged performance. And for God's sake, if you're opening a bank account in a foreign country with someone you haven't known for years, hire a lawyer to explain exactly what you're signing. Don't just trust that your partner is handling things fairly. I should have done all of this. I didn't. Because I wanted to believe. Because I was lonely and hopeful and stupid. Nika is in prison now. She'll be there for another 3 years at least. When she gets out, maybe she'll find a new target. Start the whole cycle again. Or maybe prison will change her. I doubt it, but I don't know. What I do know is that she didn't get away with what she did to me. She thought I was another soft foreigner who'd fold when things got hard, who'd be too embarrassed to fight, too confused to navigate the Thai legal system, too defeated to pursue justice. She was wrong. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. And if my story helps even one other man avoid the same fate, then maybe something good came out of all this suffering. She stole my money. She stole my trust. She stole 2 years of my life chasing her through courts and police stations. But she didn't steal my spirit. And in the end, she learned the hard way that not every foreigner folds. Some of us fight back.